All right, let's see what you guys remember. Elements, what are we made of? The 6 main elements found in all living things. Schnapps. Good, Angelina. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. We shorten that to schnapps. CHNOPS. All right, what about chemical reactions? What happens in our bodies that is a chemical reaction? What do you guys think? Inside of our bodies, this chemical reactions are happening all the time. Passing gas, yep. Respiration, yep, breathing. Hi, Heather. Anything else? A lot of you guys probably just ate lunch. What's happening in your body after you eat food? Metabolism or digestion, yep. So digestion comes first and then metabolism comes next. They're both chemical reactions, good. And then how do you make chocolate chip cookies? So start with the dough. What goes in the dough? Egg goes in the dough, yep. What else? Milk, some people put milk. I don't, but some people do. Flour, yep. Good. Eric, Shayla? Anything else? What makes them sweet? Sugar, good, Jacob. Both kinds, white and brown sugar. Good. And then you mix it all up. And then what do you do to it? Where do you have to put it? You have to put it in the oven. Why? What comes from the oven? Heat. Very good. You have to heat it, and then the cookies come out. There you go. All right. How do different organisms obtain and use energy to survive in their environment? So life depends on chemical reactions. So chemistry in the kitchen. We use chemistry in the kitchen all the time. There's all your ingredients. So if you put the butter, the sugar, the milk, the eggs, the flour, everything together, they're called ingredients when you're in the kitchen. And then you add heat, and the end result is called a product. Chemical reactions in the lab happen when substances are changed by breaking and reforming chemical bonds. But instead of calling them ingredients, we call them reactants. Those are the starting substances. And products are the end result. And here for eggs, you have to add heat. It's not always heat. Sometimes for photosynthesis, you have to add sunlight. Sometimes you have to add ATP. Sometimes you have to add oxygen. So that add in the middle, there's a lot of different things you could add to change one thing into another. Heat is just the most common. Like I said, it's not always heat. But you can put heat there, you can put oxygen, you can just put something. You always have to add something. Those are two of your vocabulary words this week. Reactants are the ingredients or the starting substances, and then products are the end result. How to write a chemical equation. All chemical reactions are written in the form of an equation. There's a few differences from a math equation. But make sure you draw and label all of this. You have your reactants, always go on the left side. Here we just use A and B as placeholders. A and B just happen to be on the left side of the equation, so those are the reactants. You have the arrow in the middle instead of an equal sign. And that tells you the direction of the reaction. Some reactions go both ways, but this one just goes one way. And then C and D on the right side are the products. Whatever C and D are, they're just placeholders. The reactants are always on the left, products are always on the right. Chemical equations, you will be asked to write down chemical equations. And when you do, make sure the form is always symbols, letters, numbers, plus signs, arrows. When I ask you to write a chemical equation, the answer should never be in actual words. They will always be in symbols. ATP, we talked about this last week. We just talked about ATP being the molecule of energy, but it stands for adenosine triphosphate. Chemical energy used for most cell processes. Molecules in food store chemical energy in their bonds. When our stomach breaks those bonds through the process of digestion, we get to absorb that energy. And then there is an ATP molecule. Part of it is adenine, part of it is ribose, which is a sugar. Then you have 3 phosphate groups, which is where the tri comes in. Tri means 3. More about ATP, transfers energy from the breakdown of food molecules to cell functions. Energy is released when a phosphate group is removed. A bond is broken, we get energy. And the triphosphate, the 3, turns into a diphosphate. Di means 2. Carbon-based molecules, we talked about this in chapter 2. We had a whole section about it. Carbohydrates, lipids, proteins. So organisms break down carbon-based molecules to produce ATP. It's the point of eating. Carbohydrates is the most common. Lipids, however, store the most energy because they're the longest and they have the most bonds to be broken up for energy. Proteins are the least likely. These usually get built up to make our body structures and not broken down for energy.